Hello everybody, and welcome to an Unholy Death Knight guide. Evil! And all that good stuff. So, Unholy's pretty good. I enjoy Unholy. I've been Unholy for, sorry, a bit of a beard scratch. I say beard, I don't have one yet. It's a bit of like a ranged, kind of plate-wearing, semi-melee kind of warlock, which it's kind of fun to play. So it's a good fun class. In DPS numbers, it's not low down on the charts, it's pretty good, if you care about looking at how well you do in DPS fights, but I guess it's important you are DPS, but the main thing is you want to be enjoying and having fun. It's pretty average with, I think Frost slightly pulls ahead in certain fights and Holy pulls ahead in other ones, but it is fun. I highly recommend people play it and enjoy it. So you've got Unholy, you go to max level and you go, Josh, how do I play it? Well, this is for you. So, first of all, why would you want to play Unholy? There are pros and there are cons. So you got your pros. You are basically ranged. You pretty much are ranged. If you look at my abilities, 30 yards, wait, no, I'm looking the wrong way, there you go, 30 yards, melee, 30 yards, pull, another pull, you think you interrupt 15 yards. Like, when you think, oh, 50 yards isn't that much, if I get exactly, this is 15 yards. That is quite a huge amount of range when you're thinking of an interrupt. That is pretty damn good. You also have your 2 grips, which is also nice. And yeah, you've got a lot of good things that you bring to the table, and a res. So yeah, you're basically ranged, which is good. Your single target is impressive. It's decent. It's not bad. I enjoy the single target. It is most enjoyable to play, and it's good. It does good numbers. And another class, like other classes, like I think Arcane is one of them. You're not penalized. Penal. You're not penalized for like an AOE or a cleave fight. Like, you do good AOE, you do good cleave. Another good thing is your mitigation that you get. This is another pro, just in case people lost track of what I'm saying. Anti-magic shell, 1 minute cooldown. It does lots of good stuff. You gotta remember, like, this is the thing. It's not the fact that it's flashy and ooh, it's cool. It's the fact that it's a low cooldown and it does lots of stuff, and it's there. So anti-magic shell, everyone has seen a Death Knight, you know, oh, it absorbs damage, whatever it is. Did you also know the damage absorbed generates runic power? Pretty handy. Also, you can't have harmful magical effects put on you. I think you can have certain boss ones that, like, are, like, a Star Augur something, Squidgy Face, whatever his name is. I think when he puts the runic empowerment-y things on you, not runic empowerments, the marking-y things, the star aligning things, that is a debuff, and I believe it still puts that on you. So certain things, you're not going to screw over your raid by somehow causing a wipe by bugging something out. So yeah, but it is there, and it lasts 5 seconds, and it's just good. You got Icebound Fortitude, 3 minutes, not as often there, but it's instant, doesn't cost anything, you're immune to stun effects, and you take, I think it's 20%, I'm not sure where you get the extra 4% from. It might be 24%, but I think that's because I've got 4% of versatility or something, I don't know. But yeah, it is there and it is good. Simple, easy to use. You know what you want. Like, you're not like confused about, like, oh, is it AOE? It's like, it's magic, use this. It's not magic, use this. But yeah, you have extremely strong utility, so for in dungeons especially, but also raids. Very croaky, sorry. You have, well, I mean, you've got Path of Frost. Everyone's going to get you in the groups for that, purely just for this. But you have a battle res, handy. It's pretty good. 10 minute cooldown. It doesn't cost runic power anymore, which I like because that was annoying. But it's a battle res. You will kind of want to have some of those, especially in dungeon groups. Sometimes you don't get them. You also have 2 grips because of your pets. 2 grips are insanely strong. Like, if you're not playing a Death Knight and you're not gripping everything into big death balls for your tank, then you should be! Death grips are good. Use them properly. Your group will thank you. I have been whispered and people have said thank you to me because I've been doing really good death grips. I'll have a video showing it. But yeah, you will be, like, worshipped for your death grips if you do it properly. So make sure you do that. You also have your pet as a stun. Fairly handy. You can use it as, like, another interrupt. Or a stun. A stun is a stun. So on to cons. These are the bad ones. This is something that's not nice and kind of irritating. So, as you'll see, this is not an RNG-based class, but at the same time it is. So, your damage mainly comes from Festering Wounds. So I got 4, I got lucky that time, and I got 6, so I got unlucky that time. So, it has a chance to apply 2 to 4. So you can get shafted horribly by this, and it will mess things up. But that's just something you gotta deal with. So there is a ramp up and slight RNG based element to this, which is annoying. It's not too bad, but yeah, applying dots is ramp, so yeah. And you're not desperately in need for it. Like, you can play Unholy without Legendaries. I've got 1, which isn't the best one, but it's alright. But you do, certain Legendaries are, like, what's the keybind? Is it Shift J? No, Loot, there it is, yeah. The Instructor's 4th lesson is extremely strong, you want this. Tac Theratrix's shoulder pads are, again, really good. These two are probably your best ones. Death March can be good. It's alright. It's not great. But it's alright. I'd probably say the best 2 are these 2. But this is probably the best one, then this comes second. This Sephu's Secret's actually pretty good. I got this one, which is your Abomination made text of a chant 10% to activate 1 rune. Makes the rotation a bit simpler, and it's your best stats, so handy. But yeah, there is a need for certain specific legendaries. So, now that we've covered the kind of fundamentally things why you should play it, let's have a look at your talents. So, all will serve crap. Bursting Spores and Ebon Fever, this is quite tricky. So, Bursting Swords is the best choice for any AoE fight where you've got to burst things down really, really quickly. If there's ads, it's like, quickly kill them, quickly kill them. It's good. You got your burst AoE from that. Other than that, Ebon Fever's probably better. It just is, especially for single target. Like, unless there's any burst AoE phase, you're going to want to choose Ebon Fever. For Mythic Dungeons, if your group is really lacking in AoE, choose Bursting Swords, and even then I still would. Unless you've got a weird group and you're desperately in need for better single target damage, then choose Ebon Fever. But Bursting Swords or Ebon Fever, it'll generally switch between these. You generally want to have Ebon Fever up. I've been doing a lot of dungeons, so. For your next one, some people choose Blighted Rune Weapon. It's another thing to manage, and it's awkward, and it only slightly pulls ahead without certain legendaries, and I think I have the legendary which makes Pestilent Pustule slightly better, but I would just choose this. It's just better. It's just a passive, and you get more runes back. It's nice. It's fine. You've got so much stuff you've got to manage. Choose this. It's passive. It's just better. For your 58 talents, Clawing Shadows is a must. You can't choose anything else. People have gone, oh, you can choose Castigator. It can be good, but given the way our certain stat priority kind of goes, if you choose this, then things change, and you choose more crit, and don't do it. Choose Clawing Shadows. It's also ranged. It's good. Very good. In your next talent, you must choose Sludge Belcher. It's just better. Like, if you can choose the other ones, but Sludge Belcher is just better. Just choose it. In this talent, it depends heavily on your fight. Normally, I would say choose Lingering Apparition because you're slow. This is one of the main prawns you have. Prawns? Prawns. You have lots of prawns. No. One of the cons that you get as being an early Death Knight is you are very slow. So Lingering Apparition is good because it reduces the cooldown, and you move 30% faster, and Wraithwalk's not great, but it's alright, and you can cancel anytime and stuff, so yeah, I would say choose that. If you're doing a fight where you are literally just standing still, eating lots of raid damage, if it's magic damage, choose this. If it's physical damage, choose this, and make sure your pet doesn't die. You can have your pet die, but if it's frequent, 1 minute, sometimes you can lose your pet, and if you lose your pet, you are screwed. It is bad. So make sure you use your Protective Bile if you need to. So yeah, but depending on your fight, normally Lingering Apparition will be what you will choose because you're just slow. In the next talent, next 90, Shadow Infusion is a bit meh. Infected Claws, if you're not great at the class and you've been playing it for a bit and you feel like you don't know what you're doing, choose this, but Necrosis is better. Does more damage. The rotation changes and it's a bit harder, but it is better. It is far better. So yeah, Necrosis is good. For your tier 100 talent, this is where things change a bit. So, Defile is generally not taken. You can take it if you have... I'm doing all the wrong buttons. There we go. Death March, because it reduces Death and Decay. Death Strike? Yeah, Death and Decay, which does in fact reduce the cooldown of Defile. But unless you are doing Mythic Dungeons, and again, your group is extremely lacking on AoE damage, don't choose it. It's so meh. Dark Arbiter can be chosen. There are 1 to 2 requirements generally required for this. The first one is this legendary here. Dark Transformation empowers your gargoyle and that's pretty good. So if you have this legendary alone, I would say take it. But ideally you want... I don't remember what the keybinds... Sorry, is it Shift J? Yeah, I already had it open. You ideally want... Oh god, what have I done? No, I've gone to the wrong one. Unholy. You ideally want this because you get your gargoyle, or you get your Valkyr more option. Valkyr? It is Valkyr. You get it more often, which is nice. It's good. You want to use them often. Other than that, Soul Reaper is really strong. Soul Reaper is good. Your Soul Reaper, your Dark Arbiter, or your gargoyle, as it is by default, does benefit from haste. So Soul Reaper is really, really strong. So yeah, Soul Reaper is generally what you'll be choosing unless you have the legendary and the item I said. So yeah, moving on from your talents, we'll be going straight into our stats now. Our stats get a bit annoying. So, your best stat is of course strength. Strength is good. And then you ideally want 80% mastery. Yeah. So 80% mastery is really obnoxious to get there. It is taking ages. I've been fairly lucky and I've got a lot of mastery gear. Your weapon gives you mastery, but doesn't give you haste, but you want haste as well, but you want 80% mastery. After you get mastery, you want to get haste until 20%. I haven't quite got there, but 90% has been fine for me, so yeah. And then you want to go crit or versatility depending on your gear levels. So have a look on Simcraft and do it that way, it'll show you what's better. Ideally, just if you have gear that's got stats that you're not sure about, just keep them in your bags, like I need to do it. I've got certain... Do I not have certain things? Oh, there you go, I've got certain stuff down here I haven't got rid of yet, because it might be good on some boots and other things over here that I'm not sure about. Like this, I don't want to put this on, because it gives me more strength, it's really good. But I need haste, I'm lower on haste, and mastery, I'm not even there yet, so I haven't put those on yet. But yeah, you want those stats. After that, you want to do some enchanting and consumables. So for your necklace, you want Mark of the Trained Soldier. It gives you, what, like 600%? 600%? 600 mastery, or 300 mastery? I can't remember what sure it gives you. It gives you mastery. It's good. You just passively, you just put it on, a lot of mastery. After that, you want your back to have Binding or Breath of Strength. I've put Binding on because it's only Raid Finder, and I'm poor because I haven't transferred this guy money yet. Your rings, you want Binding or Breath of Mastery. If you got Legendary, yeah, don't cheap out on that. Put you know, good, put your good enchants on that. And then you want Masterful Shadow Rubies in your sockets. Unless you're at 80% Mastery, then you want to go for Haste. And if you're at 20% Haste, then it's Gem, Crit, or Versatility, depending on what is better from your Simcraft. From your weapon, you want to put on Rune of the Fallen Crusader. And then for your consumables, you want Flasks of the Endless Army. And you want, your pots will be Potions of Prolonged Power. And you want to eat the Lavish Suramar Feast. That is quite the mouthful. So yeah, there's generally everything you want to kind of have pre-prepared. If you're poor, just use Defiled Augmented Runes. They do work in Mythic Dungeons now, which is nice. Very nice. So yeah, now we are going to go on to the rotation. So I'm hoping I don't choke and mess this up. So rotation is something that it's fairly good. It's fun. It's interactive. So the first thing you want to kind of do is you want to set up everything for your burst. So before the pull, you want to pop your potion. Then we get to start 3 seconds from the pull. You want to start channeling your Army of the Dead. You only want to do this before the pull, unless there's a big burst fight. You don't want to do anything else. Then after that, you want to put your Virulent Plague on, and you use Dark Transformation. And then I like to go into using a Death Coil, because I'll have a proc up, and I can do it quick enough. And then you want to do Festering Strike, 4 is good. Festering Strike, 8. Now, because I have 8, I'm going to do Soul Reaper, and then Apocalypse instantly. This will give me my full stack of Soul Reaper. You can't see it, sorry. And then when you have your haste up, you want to pop your Gargoyle, because your Gargoyle benefits from your haste. And then apart from that, you want to start going through the rotation of using your Death Coil with Clawing Shadows, and Bursting of Festering Wounds. And generally, because a lot of people will be going after this trinket that drops souls, like for example, you'll see moments where I'm doing rotation badly because I'm trying to explain it, sorry. You'll have moments where your runes are kind of on cooldown and you can't do anything. In those situations, you want to draw out souls because you can. It's a moment of downtime, and you do get little bits of downtime if you, like, generally towards the burst, or if you get a little bit unlucky with your festering wounds. There's a few little times where you'll be starved for runes or something. But generally throughout the rotation, you want to keep up at least 4 to 6 stacks of festering wounds. Generally, I'd say hover around 4, unless you have the bracers, the instructor's 4th lesson. Then you want to hover around about 5 to 6, because you can burst some automatically, and then you might go, oh crap, I need to put more on. So, it's all about being prepared. But yeah, you want to, apart from the rotation, when you go into single target, you want to keep up your festering wounds. Make sure you don't cap on runic power, and keep up your dots. And when you get Scourge of the World procs, you ideally want to try and squeeze in as many of your Clawing Shadows procs as possible, unless you're going to cap on runic power. If you're going to cap on runic power, just start throwing out some of your Death Coils. If you have, see in this case, look, I need to get rid of some of my, I'd have to get rid of some of my runic power. If you have taken Infected Claws, you don't have to worry so much about using Death Coil, then Clawing Shadows to get the benefit of Necrosis. You can just dump your Death Coils in, which makes the rotation a little bit easier, but it is less damage, so you want to try and get used to the rotation with using your Death Coil and things off. You can watch and see what I'm doing. I'm just going to do the rotation very, very quickly. So yeah, you want to into dump that, into there. I got pretty lucky. This, into that. There you go. And yeah, you want to just kind of start this process of going through, like, downtime. And like, it's like, the thing is though, is like the rotation, it's not, I'm sorry if you can hear the clicking, it is enjoyable. You're managing lots of things. You're managing your procs, you're managing your stacks, you're managing your dots, you're managing your runes, you're managing your runic power. It's a really interactive class. I really enjoy it. But your single target rotation generally which repeats that process, and then, like I said, you use Army of the Dead when you go into the pull, unless there is a certain ad or a certain mechanic that has to be bursted down really heavily, and there's downtime when you have to run towards it. Don't use Army of the Dead in the pull, because it's a DPS loss, because it takes like 4 seconds to channel the whole thing. Unless you have the Legendary again. Things do change based on... I keep doing the wrong button. Unless you have these Legendaries. These ones are really good. You kind of want these. These are like your best ones. And the bracers. So yeah, for your AOE rotation, you want to use your cooldowns on rotation generally. If you can get your Soul Reaper with Gargoyle, do it, but it'll generally be around, because you got 40, 80, which is 120, and then you got 160, and so you'll generally kind of have it match up. Like, these two will generally line up together. You'll generally be able to get an Apocalypse with a Soul Reaper, and then you're able to do one Soul Reaper without an Apocalypse, and then you're able to do another Soul Reaper with an Apocalypse. And it just makes it easier for you because it's less rune management, and you get to do more DPS. So just play around with it. It is fun, I promise you. For AoE, your rotation stays very, very, very similar, with a few minor changes. So the few minor changes would be that if you have 3 or more targets, you want to use Death and Decay. So is there a part where I can AoE? Oh, there we go, look here. So your rotation will stay generally the same. You want to make sure you have runes going into this. So I've got 4, drop that, Death and Decay, and then you want to start spamming. You don't want to use Necrosis as much because they'll generally die. If it's going to last a while, then yeah, you want to use get your Necrosis from Death Coil. But apart from that, just keep up your dots and make sure you do stand in your Death and Decay, because if you don't stand in it, then you don't get to cleave. But apart from that, yeah, you keep your dots up, you AoE cleave with Clawing Shadows, make sure you're standing in your Death and Decay. if the trash is going to die within like 4 or 5 seconds, like if it's going to die really, really quickly, don't worry about putting Festering Wounds up, just put Death and Decay down and stand in it and use Clawing Shadows. If you don't have Death and Decay and you're required to AoE, change it ever so slightly. You put your Virulent Plague. I'm going to Google how you spell that, pronounce it. And then you want to put your Festering Wounds up, and then you want to use your Clawing Shadows to burst it, because your burst does cleave onto other people. But that is about it for your rotations. So I'm going to come here, pet. Come here. Foul Crush. Damn it. Come here. There we go. So I'm going to probably jump in now with some gameplay. So I shall see you then. But yeah, it is highly enjoyable, and I'll show you. You'll get to see an awful lot more of how the class works in certain things, and the really strengths and kind of the advantages to having a Death Knight. Like, you don't have to like be watching this guide if you want to play Unholy Death Knight. Say you want to do Mythic Dungeons, and you're going, oh, I want to make a team for it. Unholy Death Knights bring a lot to the table. Like, Death Knights in general are really strong. So yeah, have a look with that. I'll see you in a minute. I'm going to jump into a dungeon, maybe some raids, and I'll show you some gameplay. Until then, see you in a minute. Alright, so gameplay. It's literally a couple of clips I took from me doing a dungeon, a couple dungeons, and they're awful. So I'm starting off with showing some, mainly just some decent AoE, kind of, because I explained, it's a lot, this is going to be me explaining the kind of rotation, and not so much explaining the rotation, but kind of just going through it and showing you what it looks like, because I didn't do it justice by explaining it. So yeah, this is just going through and kind of showing you what things will look like, after, you don't have Death and Decay up and you've got AoE, or how things generally work. Vault of the Wardens it's an alright dungeon, for Death Knights. Like all the dungeons are pretty much, it's difficult to, how certain classes are just generally work better in different dungeons, just the way that mobs get pulled, the way that groups get pulled up, the certain trash. Like, there's, a certain trash in other dungeons have these kind of buffs they put on themselves, as a mage can spell steal. There's different things you can do. Death Knight's just kind of, the reason why I like Unholy so much at the moment is just because it's strong all the way around. Like, the only thing that really does great on me that I'm struggling with is, you're watching now and you can see I'm constantly just a little bit far behind because I'm looting. If I didn't loot stuff, I'd be fine. And yeah, I'm just interrupting other stuff and being awful and standing and everything and doing everything wrong. Don't worry about that. But yeah, there's a hunter's doing really well. But like, the fact that you're slow, it does hurt, but because I'm ranged, I can keep putting on Outbreak and spreading dots on while I'm running up to things. So we're coming up to our first boss, and the burst here is, sorry, I shouldn't click my fingers. The burst here I do is, it's alright. I've got Scout open on the right. So yeah, you can see how I do, but we start with popping Army of the Dead, I believe. I think I pop Army of the Dead. No, I don't. Okay, so I don't know why I don't pop Army of the Dead, but yeah, we pop our Dark Transformation, and then we start putting up our Festering Wounds. We get quite lucky with our procs, and then we go into Soul Reaper, Apocalypse, and then dropping down out of that we our Gargoyle, and then immediately after that we want to use more of our runes up, and then use the Drought of Souls if we have it. If you didn't have your Drought of Souls, all you would do is you would use your Festering Wounds so you got your stacks, and then just jump in and do your normal rotation. Next boss fight, I'm a little bit behind on talking. This one, similar, again, Dark Transformation, put your dots up, make sure you spend your runes. And then, yeah, you can see I've got runes, 3, 1 rune. I can't use any more Festering Souls because I need 2, so I'm using Drought of Souls. Otherwise, if you don't have Drought of Souls, you just go straight into doing your normal rotation of, for Necrosis, that would be Death Coil into Clawing Shadows. Just basic stuff. And, you can see on the right, the damage, I think I'm 870 item level on doing this. It's pretty good. Going into Halls of Valor. So yeah, and this one I'm just showing you how you Death Grip one mob in, use my pet to pull in the other mob, and then just from me doing that, I have made this death ball that we can all kill everything in. No other class can really do this. Other classes can kind of push or knock stuff away, but only a Death Knight can actually grip things in, and only an Unholy Death Knight can double grip. So yeah. This is one I'm particularly proud of. You shouldn't do this, but look, see the ad that's been spawned? I send my pet off behind it, just because I know no one's going to hit it, and I'm like, boop, come back, there we go, and send him back with me. I was so proud of that. It's like, it's such a silly thing, like, I don't even think I would need to do that, and you should ideally kill it. I think the healer put down an Ursel's Vortex to trap it in as well, so he knows what he's doing. But yeah, like, it's just little silly, like, things, like what I just did there, it's not the most, like, best option, or, like, might not be the best tactic, but it's fun. And the best thing is you want to act, like, it doesn't matter if you're being bullied by your raid leader, or bullied by other people going, oh, your DPS is not good, oh, you should get better at the game. Screw them. If you're playing the game and you're having fun, you can play a class and do really terrible DPS, as long as you have fun. Like, granted, you don't want to be doing really, really bad. You want to at least be semi-competitive, but you don't have to be top on the DPS charts. Don't stand in stuff, don't get people killed, and bring stuff to the table. Like, I think my damage meter's a bit... I think I've reset it, so I don't think... Oh, no, I did reset it before this dungeon, but... Yeah, like, just make sure you're bringing stuff for the, dungeon groups. Like, I'm bringing, my Battle Res in case we need it. We also have a Druid who's got one. Again, my 2 grips, and, I'm a DPS. As long as I hit stuff and stuff dies, if anyone's complaining or, like, bullying you for doing terrible DPS, just go find a different group, or to, like, you know, sometimes you don't have to do it. Just say to them, hey, I'm having fun, we are killing bosses, you know. There will be situations where sometimes you won't be doing great DPS, and in those situations I'm doing it again with my pet look. I think at this point I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't do it, alright, fine. I don't want the fire spreading, but I should just left it and killed it, that was awful. But yeah, just make sure you're having fun, and make sure you are actually, like, playing your class at least fairly well. Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking, and I'm gonna probably let the rest of this video play. I horribly mess up my Army of the Dead. I thought he jumps down, you hit him like in the raid, but he doesn't. He does a little bit of talk. So I'm just like, alright, I got this. I know we'll talk for a bit. Can't see my DBM timer, I know what I'll do. I got this planned out. I'm gonna use my Army of the Dead, he'll come down, I'll do amazing DPS, people will love me, it's great. Pop it now! Oh, I know talks. Oh no! Oh, I think I did. It's just so bad. Amusing. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up or something. I've tried to put a bit more effort into this one. I've fixed all my problems, and I'm going to be doing a couple more of these guides. I want to make sure that I'm at least fairly comfortable playing the class, or at least I'm decent at it and I know what I'm doing. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed. There may be some changes. I might do a bit of a change for this video, or a change later on if there's a couple of new patch changes. I believe the only patch changes that have been announced for Unholy Death Knights is they're nerfing your runic power regeneration, I think, and they're increasing the damage that Death Coil does. So, in reality, you're just getting kind of a buff. Because the way that Sudden Doom procs now with your artifact, you get 2 procs sometimes. Generally, you never have to worry about runic power. You're too busy worrying about your Festering Strikes and your runes and making sure you're doing everything correctly. And you want to make sure for the Necrosis you're using your Death Coil and then your Clawing Shadows. So I don't. Looking at it, it doesn't look like anything bad. It just looks like we're getting our Death Coil damage buffed a bit, which looks good. But yeah, make sure you throw this a like. If you want to see more, say what you want to see more of. I'm open to playing other classes and other things. Whatever you want to see, I'll have a go doing it. No promises. But yeah. Take care, everybody, and enjoy diseasing things horribly in the game. Of course, don't do it in real life. That's bad. But as long as you're a Death Knight, go wild with it. All right. Take care, everybody.